In the indigenous cultures of the Americas, the earth is not seen as an object or a resource. She is a living being, Mother Earth, the sacred source from which all life emerges and to which all life returns. People speak of her as a mother, a teacher, and a healer. She carries every living thing on her back, gives food, shelter, and medicine, and holds the balance of the world. So when indigenous people talk about respect for the earth, it isn't a slogan about ecology. It's a family relationship. Everything around a person, plants, animals, rivers, mountains, stones, is part of one great family. The Lakota phrase "Mitakuye Oyaseng" means all my relations, a reminder that everything is connected. If a forest burns, if a river dries, if an animal disappears, it's not something happening out there. It happens to all of us because we are part of the same body. This way of seeing life creates a different kind of wisdom, a life of gratitude instead of control. It teaches that humans do not stand above the earth or outside of it. We stand within her as one heartbeat in the living body of creation. Purification, cleansing the body, the heart, and the spirit. In indigenous traditions across the Americas, purification is not just a ritual. It is a way of restoring balance between the body, the heart, and the spirit. When a person feels heavy, confused, or distant from themselves, the elders say it is not because something bad entered them, but because something fell out of harmony. The purpose of purification is to bring that harmony back, to clear away the noise of the world so that one can hear the quiet voice of the earth again. Purification is both physical and spiritual. It can mean washing away the dust of daily life, but also the burdens of worry, anger, and grief. The cleansing of the body becomes the cleansing of the heart, because in the indigenous worldview, these are not separate things. To heal the spirit, one must also touch the earth. To cleanse the heart, one must also breathe the smoke, the water, and the wind. One of the most widespread purification practices is the smudging ceremony. Bundles of sacred plants, usually sage, cedar, sweetgrass, or tobacco, are burned, and their smoke is guided gently over the body, the home, or a sacred space. Each plant carries its own medicine and its own prayer. White sage cleanses the mind and clears away confusion. Cedar invites protection and positive energy. Sweetgrass carries the fragrance of peace, harmony, and kindness. Tobacco is offered in prayer, a bridge between the human and the spirit world. When the smoke rises, it is said to carry our prayers upward, just as the wind carries seeds across the land. The person performing the smudging might whisper words of thanks. Thank you, Mother Earth, for your breath that cleanses me. Thank you, Grandfather Fire, for your light that purifies me. In that moment, the act of burning becomes a dialogue between the human heart and the living world. Purification is also about letting go, releasing what no longer serves. It can be grief, fear, or even pride. The smoke reminds us that nothing we release is truly lost. It simply changes form, the way wood becomes flame, or water becomes mist. Every act of letting go returns something to the circle of life. But purification is not limited to smoke. Many indigenous nations use water as a form of cleansing, through bathing, washing, or simple prayer at a riverbank. Water is seen as a sacred being that remembers and renews. When one washes their face with dawn water, they are not just refreshing their skin, they are greeting the new day, the new chance to begin again. Some tribes also use song and breath as purification. The voice is medicine. It moves through the body and releases what is trapped inside. A purification song might have no words at all, only the pulse of the drum and the rhythm of the breath, echoing the heartbeat of the earth. In all these forms, purification is not an escape from the world, but a return to it. It reminds us that cleanliness is not about perfection. It's about presence. To be purified is to be fully alive, to remember one's place within the web of life. The person who has been cleansed walks differently, more gently, more aware, more grateful. For indigenous peoples, purification is the first step toward prayer, ceremony, and healing. It opens the doorway between the visible and the invisible, between the everyday and the sacred. It teaches that the earth does not ask for grand gestures, only for sincerity, attention, and respect. When the body, the heart, and the spirit are cleansed, the world itself feels lighter, because in truth they are one and the same. The Sweat Lodge and the Sun Dance, returning to the womb of the earth. There are moments in Indigenous life when purification goes beyond the body, when it becomes a total surrender to the earth herself. Among many nations of North America, this surrender takes its most powerful form inside the Sweat Lodge and in the great ritual known as the Sun Dance. Both are ceremonies of transformation, of death and rebirth, of humility before the living world. The Sweat Lodge is not simply a sauna, as outsiders sometimes imagine. It is a sacred structure, a small dome-shaped hut made of willow branches bent into a circle, covered with blankets or animal hides. From the outside it looks simple, but its shape holds deep meaning. It represents the womb of Mother Earth. To enter the lodge is to return to her body, to be held in darkness, warmth, and prayer. Before the ceremony begins, stones are heated in a great fire outside. The stones are called grandfathers because they are ancient beings, older than any living thing, holding the memory of the world within them. When they glow red with heat, they are carried carefully into the lodge, placed in a pit at the center. Then the door is closed. The inside becomes dark and the air grows thick with heat. The leader, often a respected elder or medicine person, pours water onto the stones. The water hisses and rises as steam, filling the space with breath, the breath of the earth. Participants sing and pray as the steam covers them, sweat running down their skin. Each drop is seen as a release of pain, of anger, of old stories that no longer serve. As they sweat, people say they are shedding the heaviness of the world. The ceremony usually moves in 4 rounds, each representing a direction: east, south, west, and north. The 4 winds, the 4 stages of life, the 4 elements of being. Songs rise and fall with the rhythm of the drum, echoing the heartbeat of creation. Some people weep quietly, others laugh, some stay silent. Inside the lodge, all are equal. There are no ranks, no possessions, only breath, fire, and water. When the door finally opens, cool air rushes in and light floods the space. The people crawl out on hands and knees as newborns emerging from the womb of the earth. They lie on the ground, hearts pounding, feeling the soil beneath them, alive, grounded, reborn. This is not a metaphor. It is a lived experience of returning home. While the Sweat Lodge purifies through heat and breath, the Sun Dance transforms through sacrifice and devotion. It is one of the most sacred ceremonies among the Plains nations, especially the Lakota, Dakota, and Blackfoot peoples. It is held in the heart of summer, when the sun is strongest and life is at its peak. In the center of the dance ground stands a tall living tree, the tree of life. It connects the heavens above and the earth below, serving as a bridge between all worlds. Dancers move around it for days, often without food or water, offering their prayers through the rhythm of their steps. Some pierce their skin with small wooden pegs tied to the tree as a symbolic act of releasing the ego and giving of the self. To an outsider, this might look like pain, but to the dancers, it is sacred giving. They say, "Through this pain, I learn to live in truth." The songs of the Sun Dance are ancient. They speak to the sun as a living being, the great eye that sees all, the fire that gives life. The people dance until their strength is gone, until the body and spirit blur into one pulse. And when the ceremony ends, they do not celebrate conquest. They celebrate connection. The sun, the tree, the earth, the people, all beating with the same rhythm. Both the Sweat Lodge and the Sun Dance remind us of something modern life often forgets, that healing is not about comfort, and that purification is not about escape. To be healed, one must first step into the fire, to burn away what is false, to remember what is real. In these ceremonies, pain is not punishment, it is participation. It is the way the body prays. Through sweat, song, and surrender, the people learn again what the elders have always said. We do not stand above the earth. We are born from her. We return to her, and while we are here, we carry her heartbeat inside our own. Living in harmony, reciprocity, responsibility, and traditional ecological knowledge. To live in harmony with the earth is not a poetic dream. It is a discipline, a daily practice, a sacred agreement. For indigenous peoples of the Americas, this harmony is guided by one simple principle: reciprocity. Everything that is taken must be returned. Every gift from the earth carries a responsibility to give back. Life, in this understanding, is not a straight line of consumption. It is a circle of exchange. When a person gathers plants, they offer tobacco or a silent prayer before taking a single leaf. When a hunter takes the life of an animal, they speak to its spirit, thanking it for giving its body so that others may live. The bones are often returned to the soil or to the river, completing the cycle of respect. This is not ritual for ritual's sake. It is a living expression of awareness that nothing we eat, wear, or use is truly ours. Everything we touch is borrowed from the body of the earth. This is the heart of indigenous environmental ethics, not management, but relationship. It does not separate ecology from spirituality or science from gratitude. It begins from the understanding that humans are not outside of nature and not above it. We are one thread among many, woven into the same fabric as the rivers, the trees, and the wind. To act without awareness of this fabric is to pull at the thread that holds the whole together. The medicine of reciprocity. In the languages of many indigenous nations, there is no direct word for nature because there is no concept of separation. The world is alive and interactive, a field of relationships. Reciprocity means that every relationship, human or more than human, must be honored through balance. If you take too much, you weaken the circle. If you forget to give thanks, you lose your connection to the source. But when gratitude becomes a way of life, everything becomes ceremony. Simple acts, leaving an offering, singing to the dawn, tending a fire with care, are ways of maintaining balance. They say, we are not owners, we are caretakers. The earth does not need saving, she needs respect. And respect begins with remembering that the earth breathes through us, and we breathe through her. Traditional ecological knowledge, tech. Long before the word sustainability was ever spoken, indigenous peoples practiced it instinctively. Their knowledge of the land, the seasons, the animals, and the elements is called traditional ecological knowledge, or tech. It is not written in books. It lives in stories, in songs, in the hands of elders, and in the rhythm of the land itself. Tech is built on observation, patience, and reciprocity. For thousands of years, communities studied how fire, rain, soil, and plants interacted and learned to cooperate rather than control. They burned forests deliberately to renew them, knowing that certain seeds only sprout after fire. They rotated their harvests so that the soil could rest. They planted the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, together because each one supports the other. The corn stands tall, the beans climb its stalk, and the squash shades the ground to keep it moist. It is agriculture as kinship, not as exploitation. Water management too reflected the same principle. Cherokee fishers built small stone dams that allowed water to keep flowing even as it guided fish into their nets. No wall blocked the river. The people took what was needed and allowed the rest to continue its journey. This is how balance works, not through domination, but through dialogue, the keeper's responsibility. From this worldview arises the idea of the human as a guardian, not a conqueror, not a master, but a participant. To be human is to be responsible for the well-being of the land, the waters, and the creatures who share it. This responsibility extends beyond a single lifetime. When elders say, "We think in 7 generations," they mean that every decision must honor both the ancestors who came before and the children who are yet to come. The health of the earth is a sacred trust passed from hand to hand. This is why many indigenous communities speak of earth medicine. Fire is medicine when used with respect. Water is medicine when treated as living. Every element holds healing power, but only when approached with humility. In this sense, environmental care is not about fixing something broken, but about healing a relationship that has been forgotten. Harmony as a way of life. To live in harmony with the earth is not to seek perfection or purity. It is to walk in awareness. It means pausing before you act, listening before you speak, offering thanks before you take. It means seeing the world not as scenery, but as family. In the modern world, where consumption often replaces connection, this wisdom feels revolutionary. Yet it is ancient. It teaches that sustainability is not achieved through technology alone, but through reverence. Reverence is the quiet understanding that the earth is not beneath us, she is within us. Harmony is not something we find, it is something we remember. When we walk gently, when we give back, when we live as part of the great circle, we remember who we are. Respect, humility, and the wisdom for the future. As the old songs fade into the wind, a quiet truth remains. To walk gently upon the earth, one must first learn respect. Respect is the foundation of all indigenous teachings. Not only respect for people, but for stones, rivers, animals, fire, and air. It is the understanding that everything around us is alive, aware, and listening. When we act with this awareness, every step becomes a prayer. Respect is not about politeness, it is about relationship. It means knowing your place in the circle, not higher, not lower, but equal. When we pick up a handful of soil, we are holding the body of our ancestor. When we drink from a stream, we are touching the breath of the world. Respect asks us to move slower, to listen deeper, and to remember that life is not something we own, it is something we borrow. Humility as a way of knowing. In many indigenous languages, there is no single word for humility because the entire worldview is built upon it. Humility is not weakness. It is the strength to admit that we are small in the face of the vast mystery that sustains us. It is the courage to say, I don't know everything, but I am willing to listen. This is what elders call cultural humility, the practice of approaching other ways of life with openness instead of judgment. When people from outside these traditions seek to learn indigenous ceremonies, this humility becomes essential. Without it, curiosity turns into appropriation, the taking of something sacred without permission or understanding. The smudging sticks sold in plastic wrap, the spirit animal memes, the commercialized tribal retreats. All of these strip living traditions of their context and sacredness. What was once a prayer becomes a product. The elders remind us, you cannot buy the sacred. You must earn it through relationship. True learning, then, begins with silence. It means finding a teacher who carries the lineage of the tradition. It means asking, not taking. It means supporting the communities that keep the songs alive. It means knowing that not everything is meant to be shared. Some knowledge belongs to the circle that guards it. Humility teaches patience, and patience opens the heart. The path of right relationship. To live respectfully with indigenous knowledge is not about imitation, it is about integration. Each culture, each person has their own path back to balance. The earth does not ask us all to become the same. She asks us to remember who we are and to act with care. When we practice gratitude, mindfulness, and reciprocity in our own lives, we honor the same truth that indigenous peoples have carried for millennia, that we are connected through the breath of the earth. It can begin with small acts, growing food with love, using only what we need, offering water to a thirsty tree, or pausing to thank the morning light. Every gesture of respect ripples outward. The elders say, when you heal your relationship with the earth heals her relationship with you. This is the real meaning of harmony, not perfection, but participation. The earth does not demand that we be saints. She only asks that we remember we are her children. Ancient wisdom for a modern world. The ancient teachings of indigenous peoples are not relics of the past. They are instructions for the future, a map for surviving our own forgetfulness. In a time when the planet burns, rivers dry, and hearts grow numb, these teachings call us back to what is essential. They remind us that healing is not only personal but planetary. That balance begins not in governments or policies, but in the daily choices of how we walk, eat, speak, and give thanks. They remind us that spiritual knowledge and ecological knowledge are one and the same. To honor the sacred means to live sustainably. To care for the earth means to care for ourselves. If the modern world is to find its way again, it will not be through domination or technology alone, but through remembrance. Remembering the circle, remembering the ancestors, remembering that the ground beneath us is alive and that our next breath belongs to her. The circle has no beginning and no end. Every ceremony, every story, every act of respect, it all returns to the same truth. We belong to the earth. When we walk with humility, we walk in beauty. When we give thanks, we are already healed. Mother Earth does not ask for our worship, only our attention. And when we finally listen, we may hear her whisper, "I have loved you since the first sunrise. You were never apart from me. You were always home.